in one single sweep. And so taking that away was really hindering ICE's ability to meet those quotas. As we know, Stephen Miller recently told ICE to start arresting 3,000 a day.
So is all this back and forth and shifting, it seems, in policy just part of the strategy?
I don't know if it's necessarily part of the strategy, but I think it's part of what happens when you try to walk a fine line between pleasing others and not upsetting the base. And so Trump wants to stay strong on immigration. In fact, he was asked about this by a reporter recently. Take a listen to what that exchange sounded like.
Homeland Security is saying that ICE is going to start enforcing in hotels and farms again. Is that a change of course from last week?
We're going to look everywhere, but I think the biggest problem is the inner cities.
Last week, Donald Trump U-turned and said that ICE should not arrest people on farms, restaurants, hotels, or in meat packing facilities. This was seen as a reasonable reversal from Donald Trump, as instead of going for innocent, non-criminal, I should say, undocumented workers, the focus shifted to, we're going to go for just criminals. We'll try to do some more filtering so that we don't wreck the economy all of a sudden in areas where there are hotels, restaurants, or farms, substantially increasing the cost likely of those related goods and services. Of course, to this, a lot of people say, that's okay, I'll pay more for my food. But the reality is, when you get a clamshell of strawberries and it already costs you $4 or $5, do you really want to pay $10 for a clamshell of strawberries? It's somewhat challenging. That said, apparently that Donald Trump flip-flop, which went from we're going to arrest illegals everywhere and we're going to raid the farms and Home Depots and the restaurants and every business, has turned into, no, we're not going to raid restaurants, meatpacking facilities, farms, and hotels, to now flipping once again. ICE agents have been told to continue conducting enforcement operations at agricultural businesses despite concerns about the negative effects on the food industry. The Department of Homeland Security on Monday told staff it was reversing guidance issued last week that agents were not to conduct immigration raids at farms, hotels, and restaurants. Donald Trump himself said this at a press conference, that they were going to not do this because he had been getting calls from businesses and restaurants that they're just getting reamed and that his administration is killing their ability to operate. Officials from ICE, including Homeland Security's investigation division, told agency leaders in a call Monday that agents must continue conducting immigration raids at agricultural businesses, hotels, and restaurants, according to two people familiar with the call. The new instructions were shared in a 11 a.m. call to representatives from 30 field offices. ICE and Homeland Security's investigation field officer supervisors began learning about a likely reversal Sunday after hearing from DHS that leadership did not support this position. An official from DHS sent an email Thursday telling agents to hold all worksite enforcement investigations on aquaculture, meatpacking, restaurants, hotels, agriculture. This message went out hours after Trump suggested he was sympathetic to concerns raised by farmers and the hospitality executives. This is exactly what we're talking about. We saw Trump do this live. We were covering it live. We saw the U-turn live. It was actually something that a lot of people cheered. Both Republicans and Democrats were cheering Donald Trump for flipping on this. The fact that now there seems to be a flip back again is pretty weird, and it shows this kind of lack of coordination in the Trump administration. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to bag on the Trump administration. I try to bag on everyone. And if I was going to, be a little bit frustrated right now, it's that honestly, as somebody who loved watching The Apprentice, I was hoping that somebody would, get these deals done a little bit maybe more smoothly. I would have liked to have a deal with Putin. I would have liked to have had a deal with Iran. Maybe the war could be over in Ukraine and less people would be dying. We just had an American citizen that died in a drone strike against an apartment building in Kiev. Then you've got potential now a nuclear war escalation in the Middle East. Whether or not Iran actually has nuclear weapons, Israel is treating it as if they do, and now Donald Trump is sending a message to all citizens of Tehran to evacuate, which China is echoing, suggesting Chinese and U.S. intelligence suggest that either Israel or Israel and the United States are about to do something kooky, is kind of scary. because it means Trump deals didn't work out with Russia and Putin. Trump deals didn't work out with Iran. Trump deals are not working out with trade negotiations with any country other than deficit surplus entity United Kingdom. Beyond that, Japan's not even talking to the United States anymore. And we're coming up on tariff negotiation expirations. Now, there's a lot of hope in markets that, we'll end up getting taco. Trump always chickens out. But it's kind of sad because you just think like this is supposed to be the deal maker in chief here. And we're just not really getting deals. It's scary. So now this additional flip-flop just makes me wonder, like, what's happening at the Trump administration? Is there literally zero coordination between, the White House offices and the rest of the government? It's kind of scary because, again, a lot of people, both Democrats and Republicans combined, were cheering Donald Trump flipping and focusing on the violent offenders rather than just everyone on the farm. There will, quote, be no safe spaces for industries who harbor violent criminals or purposefully undermine ICE efforts. Well, and there shouldn't be. Nobody's trying to harbor violent criminals. Nobody. Everybody wants them gone. But again, this is where you're getting DHS, and this gets echoed a lot on the mainstream media. This is where you get this official position from DHS. Oh, we're coming after all the violent criminals. We're going to raid everything. Yeah, but you're arresting everyone. Even people who aren't violent. ICE has been under significant pressure from White House officials to ramp up arrests to fulfill Trump's goal of enacting the largest deportation operation in history. Stephen Miller last month said the administration wants ICE to make a minimum of 3,000 arrests per day. They got to fill their frickin' quotas. This is crazy. Trump had been pulled into two directions on the issue, recently coming under pressure from executives in the agriculture and hospitality industry to loosen up on the sweeping deportation problems that was causing them migrant workers. And remind you, these are very different jobs from the jobs that, typically you see legal immigrants want, or legal Americans for that sake. Americans or legal immigrants who are typically more part of our service industry, such as customer service, being, wait staff, being a real estate agent, being a lender, working in software or whatever. This is a very different industry, or even working in the government for that sense. Very different industry from working, on the farms, in 90-degree weather, collecting strawberries or whatever the weather might be. The president on Thursday wrote on social media that changes are coming to help protect farmers from losing workers. Well, apparently that's U-turning. Though a White House official told the Post at the time that no actual policy changes were being proposed by the White House. And then, of course, we get this pivot. Some immigration experts say ICE would need to ramp up worksite enforcement to basically meet their quotas. And it seems like that's what this is about. Now, continuing raids, though, are going to be focused on the Democratic cities, outside and inside Democratic City. So we will continue to expand efforts in sanctuary cities, which is, a little bit targeted. But then again, cities are also your melting pot. That's where you're going to have the most amount of immigrants. So whether this is targeted at Democrats or that's just a happy coincidence for, Trump and Republicans is unclear. But flipping again on this, a little bit of a bummer to see, because once again, it's just a lack of coordination amongst the White House and United States agencies. Sad.
Why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.